Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Sam Sugar, and we are doing yet another victim video from around the country. Today, we have with us Vicki, Kelso, Guyton. And Vicki, welcome.
Thank you.
And where are we talking to you from? Where are you at?
I live in Detroit, Michigan.
And in Oakland County, Michigan?
Wayne County.
Wayne County, because we know there have been a lot of problems in Oakland County.
Yes.
Tell us who this guardianship was about.
This guardianship was for my mother.
What's her name?
Her name is Louise Kelso.
And when did this guardianship begin?
This guardianship began February of 2017.
And what prompted this guardianship? Why did it happen?
Well, initially, I started the guardianship because I saw family members and in-laws taking advantage of my mother, taking her money. This particular person who became guardian actually had my mother's debit card, banking information addressed to her home, was freely spending my mom's money. So I took her to court to let the judge know that there was a problem, that I wanted to be my mom's guardian, and that this person was taking her money and would not give my mother her debit card back. And when my mother called her, she actually hung up in her face.
Was this person a family member?
She's a daughter-in-law, my brother's wife.
I see. And how did she get access to all of this money from your mom?
Well, like I said, I initially took her to probate court to get her out of my mom's affairs. I was petitioning to be my mother's guardian and conservator. This person got into court, said some words to the judge, and next thing I knew, she was guardian, conservator, over all my mom's affairs. She isolated the family, changed locks. Family members could not come around my mom. I knew there was neglect. I knew she had changed an insurance policy some years prior, and my mother had no knowledge of that. I began to watch her. I began to take notes, take pictures, just watch her, because my concern was that she had motives that were only financial, for financial gain. She didn't care about my mother, and I knew that.
And what was happening to your mother during all of this time?
Well, my mother, she did have Parkinson's disease, diabetes, blood pressure, but she was a healthy woman. And when this woman got guardianship, my mother was healthy. I mean, she had these health issues, but she was like overweight, healthy. Mine was good.
So you don't think that she was at all incapacitated?
No. Some family members, there was a time when they were giving her drugs. They were giving her medication to keep her docile so they could manipulate and get her money, So she would be a little, not lucid at times. One particular time, I thought she was actually having a stroke. I took her to the ER. Come to find out, she was ODing on opiates. They had to give her Narcan. And this was an 85-year-old woman. And family members were keeping her drugged, to manipulate her.
Isn't that amazing? And we hear these stories so often, but with narcotics, that's just awful.
Yes, I thought my mother was literally having a stroke.
Did the judge or the court understand that she was being drugged when they deemed her to be incapacitated?
The judge seemingly could care less about what I said. There was one time in court when this guardian, well, she wasn't the guardian at the time, but she told the judge, Your Honor, can I speak to you in private? And the judge laughed. I can't talk to you off the record. The next day, every time we came, anything this guardian said, the judge gave her everything she wanted. I believe she offered her something. I really believe that, because she just totally changed after her saying that, and just everything. She threatened me with jail when I tried to bring up issues before the judge. She threatened to put me in jail. I tried to show her pictures of these bed sores in August of 2017 when they were still treatable. The judge told me, no, I can't see that. I can't see that. File a motion and come back to court. I filed a motion the very next day, August 10th. The court date was September the 19th. I went back. This judge told me she didn't see any of my pictures, took none of my paperwork, sent me out of the court, and told me, don't post any pictures on Facebook, and do not come back into this court or you're going to pay for everything. Now, my mother was laying at home in a bed dying from these bed sores, and this judge would pay me absolutely no mind, laughed at me in court.
Why do you think that this system vilified you? I mean, obviously they were calling you all
I know why
kinds of
exactly.
names. Go ahead.
Because I am the one who loved my mother dearly. I am the one, I've been in probate court since 2011 for my mother, fighting, trying to get my mother away from these people. They knew how much I loved her. They knew how much I would fight for her. So they began to make it seem like I was a violent person. One instance, when this person got guardianship in 2017, I asked the judge, I said, well, Your Honor, the guardian is not going to let me see my mother. Can you at least have a guardian, a monitor come to the home for my visits? Because I've been attacked at my mom's home, spit on, my nephew beat me, threw me down, knocked me unconscious. I've caught it trying to protect my mother. So I asked the judge if she could have a monitor there to monitor the visits. During that interim, I ended up going around my family. I saw my mom like 15 times. The family was seemingly getting along. So finally, the guardian called me. Okay, let's have a meeting on this date. I said, well, she texted me actually. And I explained to her, well, I've already been to mom's house like 15 times. The family is seemingly getting along. I don't think it's necessary to have a monitor now. I know that will cost my mom additional money. And I'm just the type of person all my life. I never wanted my mom and dad to have to spend money if it wasn't necessary. So I said, well, it's not necessary. We're getting along. She went to court and told the judge that I cursed her out. We didn't even have a telephone conversation. This was text only. But she told the judge that I cursed her out, didn't go along with the rules. The judge banned me from seeing my mother on that. She continued to ban me and ban me and ban me and ban me. And eventually my mom died of these bed sores because the judge would not even allow me to visit my mom.
Who was this judge?
Judge June Blackwell Hatcher. She is a horrible, horrible human being. Horrible human being.
So I'm curious, and I want to see pictures of those bed sores too, but
Sure.
when you went through all this, was there any assistance that you could get from your community, from your church, from your elected officials, from the police? Was there anywhere you could turn?
I went to the police. I wrote the state attorney general. I wrote the prosecutors down, Kim Worthy, Trish Gerard. I called the police. I made police reports. I did everything. Everything that I could possibly think of. I tried. I could get no help. I went to the guardian ad litems. All they would say, oh, it's wrapped up. I didn't see the injuries. I didn't see it. It was always, they didn't see it. It was wrapped up. And I began to understand this is what they do. They wrap the person's injuries up. So all the guardian ad litem or the patient adult protective services will say, well, it was wrapped up. I didn't see it.
But I want to focus on any assistance that you tried to get, for example, from your church or from the community that you live in or from your local administrators. I guess the question I'm asking, was there any place you could turn to for help?
I tried elder abuse. I talked to so many attorneys. I called the Bar Association, paid for the 25-minute consultation. I mean, I called everywhere I could. I went to an elder office, elder abuse office downtown. I just got turned away everywhere I went.
And did you hire lawyers too?
No, I didn't have the money to hire an attorney. I did not. I had hired an attorney in probate court. The attorney took my money. I just went through attorney grievance with her. They just said, oh, everything's fine. But this woman took my money. She never filed these motions. If she had filed the motions, I could have saved my mom's life because I could see what this guardian was up to, And so in April of 2017, I hired the attorney. She did nothing but charge me $1,500.
So let me ask you something. Was there a lot of money in your mother's estate?
No. My mother, she got like $4,000 a month disability and my dad's pension. There was an insurance policy for like $10,000, which she forged the signature on. So it wasn't a lot of money.
See, most people have this idea that when guardianship abuse occurs, it's only for multimillionaires, but it's not true.
No,
it can happen to anyone. That's right.
Anyone.
So let's see these pictures that you have of your mother's bed sores. They're a little gruesome, so a little warning about graphic content.
Yes.
And that's a picture of her hip, right?
No, actually, let me show you the first one. This is her bottom, and the other one was a close up.
Let's see the other one. Now, this happened during the guardianship, right?
Yes.
And before she died.
Yes, and the guardian had hid these sores. The only way I found them is when I went to the ER to say my goodbyes to the hospital with my mother to say my goodbyes. And at that time, the guardian had me escorted to my mother's room by 6 police officers. And I couldn't understand why she wanted these police officers to go with me. But we went up there. I began to talk with these officers. They got to know me for who I was, and they allowed me to go in the room and stay indefinitely. At first, they said I only had 15 minutes with my mom. And then they said, the officers, they let me stay indefinitely. During that time, myself and my 2 nieces turned my mother over and saw these bandages on her back and removed the bandages. And this is what was there. But she didn't tell anyone that my mother even had these bed sores. She hid them.
Yeah, it's a terrible story. What would you say to someone who's watching this video and didn't know anything about this guardianship industry? And I will add, for those who haven't seen previous ones, what's going on in Michigan, in Wayne County and Oakland County, Michigan, is, I think, the worst examples of the probate racket in the country, even worse than in Florida, which takes some doing. What would you say to the naive person? I mean, you're a bright, intelligent woman. Tell them what they should know.
If I could do it all over again, I would never have went to probate court. I would never have went to the courtroom of Judge June Blackwell Hatcher. She is an abomination to humanity. I begged her to look at the pictures of my mother. And this is when they were treatable. And I even took these in there to her. She would not look at these and told me, well, don't put anything on Facebook. Don't come back to court, or you're going to have to pay for any trial that you have, or anything you do in probate now, you're going to have to pay for it. She never once looked at the pictures. She never once looked at the information on the motions that I had submitted to court. She just basically sent me out of the courtroom and said, don't post anything on Facebook and don't come back into this courtroom regarding this issue. Why
do you think that is?
Because I believe they were all involved in allowing my mother to die and getting, I believe they all knew what was happening, whether it was personal against me, because I was fighting so hard for my mother and they resented that. I really don't know how humans could do anything like this. I can't rationalize, really why they would do an 85-year-old disabled woman in this way and let her have a bed sore for so long. I started speaking about it in August 2007. This is December of 2017. This is how it progressed. By December 11th of 2017, she was dead. And no one would listen to me. The judge, the guardian ad litem, protective services, they said I made over 30 complaints that were all unwarranted. But yet my mother died of a massive bed sore. How could they all be unwarranted?
Let me ask you, I want to go back to the fact that your mother was being drugged. Yes. Do you think she was being drugged the whole time? And for what reason?
Because that's how they control her. If she's high off drugs, at one time it was Vicodin, these strong medications. When she was in rehab, she had got off of strong medication. She was only taking Tylenol over the counter. They had got her to that point. She gets back at home, they start drugging her again. It's a continuous, vicious cycle. I take her to rehab, I get her well. She goes back home because, sometimes seniors want to be at home regardless of what's happening there because they're comfortable in that environment. I had to learn that the hard way. She always wanted to go back home. I could not understand why, because she was being neglected and abused. But I learned that seniors, elders, sometimes when they get older like that, they just want to be at home. Everything looks familiar. They might be catching hell, but their home looks familiar. And so they accept it because they'd rather be at home, than in a place that they're not familiar with.
Let me ask you, I'm a physician, as you know, and I have been roundly critical of doctors who work in this racket and who prescribe willy-nilly narcotics, sleeping pills, tranquilizers, antipsychotics. How many
Yes.
doctors prescribed all these medicines? Was it one doctor who overprescribed for her?
Uh, um,
Or maybe you don't
I
even
believe so.
know.
I really don't know. It seemed as though when this guardian, this sister-in-law got involved, that's when everything uh, just really horribly wrong. My siblings, they neglected my mom, maybe took her money, but they kept her clean. They didn't let her get these bed sores. You know what I mean? But when this guardian, this in-law got involved, she wouldn't even feed my mother. I have a picture of 2016 of my mom's refrigerator. It looks the same in 2017 when I took a picture. She had a dog in the house, had mange. I had to complain to the judge about it. Just horrible treatment of my mother.
And once the guardianship gets started, as we all know, it's almost impossible to stop it
It's
because the judge just doesn't want to admit that they ever did anything wrong or made a mistake. Well, Vicki, I'm really sorry to hear your story. It's a cautionary tale. I'm sorry for the loss of your mother, whom you obviously loved. What has
Thank you.
happened to your family as a result of all of this?
Well, my siblings and I no longer have a relationship. I'm the youngest of six siblings living now. There was 9 of us. They turned on me because I fought for my mother. I fought for my mother since 2011. I've been trying to get her out of the probate court system with me. I've been fighting for her. They've all turned against me. They're going along with this in-law because this in-law was taking my mom's money and sharing it with everybody. Taking my mother's money, paying them, and keeping them quiet, you know? And so they couldn't persuade me to go along with them. And so they've all turned against me, but I don't care. You know, I really don't care. I'll take it as a loss because they didn't care about my mom. My mom had to be hollering in agony with these bed sores, and they were around her. I was banned because the judge would not let me even be around my mother, even when she was in the hospital transitioning. I was banned from even visiting my mother. And when, like I said, when I went to pay my respects after she was dead, the guardian had 6 police officers surround me. First, they told me I couldn't even see my mother. I asked for administration. And then finally, they let me go see my mother. Like I said, they said I had 15 minutes. But after I talked with the police officers and they really got to know me for who I was, they just let me stay for an indefinite time. And by the grace of God, I found these bed sores. Or otherwise, my mom would have went to her grave and everybody would not have even known that she was neglected.
Well, Vicki, I'm happy that we're able to share your story with people who may not understand any of this. I thank you for doing this video and I wish you well.
You're very welcome, and thank you very much.